Building confidence with your dog. I think it's important that with your youngster, you've got to work out the personality, the temperament of that dog. And all dogs are different. This is a fine example of Scotty who turned into a lovely, biddable Gundog. I wouldn't say top quality competition stuff because he wasn't quite driven enough for that. And I give him plenty of time to develop. But he was so biddable and so loving. The dog wanted to please. The dog was an automatic pleaser. And sometimes those dogs don't make the competition dogs. Sometimes those naughty dogs make the competition dogs. The ones that are so biddable are lovely in their own right. But you can't change the genetics. The genetics are there. He was well bred. But at the end of the day, he wasn't champion to champion right through. And at the end of the day, I love training dogs of all aspects when it comes to gun dogs. They don't have to be champion to champion, and this dog has gone on to be an absolute brilliant companion in the field for his owner, who I sold him to. But as you can see in the dog's posture and the dog's movement, he wants to please. But he was quite a nervy dog, not because I put pressure on him too soon. I didn't, because I know when to lay off. But in this video I'm explaining the little tricks of the trade that we know how we can get the best out of a dog that's softer, that needs nurture more than a headstrong dog that needs reins put onto it, control. This dog needed encouragement. And if you start this dog training the same as every dog because you wrote a book on how to train a gun dog, you would come unstuck with this sort of dog because of his soft nature. You have to give him time to develop. He became a very pacey, driven dog that loves retrieving, but you had to build it up. And it's a bit of a game I'm playing with him there. Even though he's dropping it, look, I'm playing a game with him. I'm getting him to want to play the game. When he gave it to me, I then gave him the praise. I'm explaining about the little treats, the little perks that I'm giving him to get the confidence into the dog. It's like picking him up. He's got to be picked up, but first I've got to tap into gameplay. I've got to give him the confidence that when you know what racing out and racing back means with that dummy, and that's the most important thing at this stage of his life, and that's what I've been working on. Look, he's happy to do it, wants to please. He's looking to please all the time, and he's not independent, looking to go off and do his own thing. He's focused on me through short sessions of gameplay, not long sessions, short sessions of gameplay. And then we go into another video. And what I've done is I've clipped 3 videos together here to show you, and I've put them up separately in the Scotty group, in the index under Scotty. So if you want to watch them and learn how I approach it and what I'm saying, you'll have to go into the Scotty videos and actually watch them. But look what I'm doing. I'm now picking him up, and he's gone rigid on me slightly, but he's wagging his tail because he's got to get used to being picked up. What if he cut himself on a barbed wire fence and no one's ever picked him up or unhooked him off a barbed wire fence? What if you had to carry him because he damaged himself? He's got to have that trust in you, and you've got to build that look. And he's a little bit like getting used to it here now, because as a youngster he was a bit fretty, like, oh, don't do that to me. And some people say you should never pick a gun dog up, it's got 4 legs and it should always be on the floor. It's an absolute load of rubbish. It's building that bond and that trust. And what I'm actually doing is creating more drive by holding him back and making him then go out there and look for the dummy. I'm making him hunt, but I'm also giving him more drive because I'm holding him back. I'm getting him ready for when I put the stop on him. At this stage, I've not put the stop on him because he's not ready to have the stop on him. And that's important that you see that. But as you can see, look, I pick him up and put him in my arm, and he's a little bit rigid, look. He's under pressure, but he's got to learn to cope with pressure. I've got to pick him up and put him in the back of a vehicle. You know, I don't want him jumping out of a vehicle as a young dog because I don't want to ruin the hips on him as a young dog. So I don't want the dog jumping, so I would be picking him up. But that trust between me and him has got to gel. That trust, look, he kicked then, he wanted to be sent. He told me he wanted to be sent. The body movement told me, send me, Dad, send me. He'd sat there long enough. But I'm explaining it in the video, and short clips people seem to watch. But if I put up a longer video, like this video, it's just like 15 minutes long, some people will lose interest because they go, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. But I do this with spaniels as well as Labradors, especially softer spaniels that need that encouragement. I build that trust between me and the dog, and I don't use discipline until I've built that trust. That trust has to come first before the discipline. And sometimes you have to ignore a little bit of bad behavior as puppies, else you knock the dog back. It's as simple as that. But this dog was a sweetie. He was just a little sweetheart. He just wanted to please. He was never a problem, and I probably fell out with him 3 or 4 times when he went wrong later on in his training, just to correct him and let him know I wasn't happy. He knew straight away, because we'd built that trust up with each other, and he knew when I was happy and gameplay was fun, and he knew when, oops, I've upset my dad. And that's the most important thing when you start to train other people's dogs. You've got to learn to read their dog. You can't treat every dog the same. You can't say, okay, the dog's running in, I've got to go after it and give it a chastisement. You give this dog a chastisement too soon, you don't get the best out of the dog. See him kick again? I let him go as soon as he kicks. I'm waiting for him to kick. He's telling me then with his body movement, I want it, Dad, I want it. And it's now making him hunt for it. Look, it's making him use his nose. He gets out to the fall and uses his nose, where before all we wanted him doing is running in and getting to the fall. Now we're adding to it in the training, but we're also building trust. Then we go back to that stage of look at him get straight to the fall and straight back. We're building the foundation in small steps. We're bringing it up in small steps. Like I was explaining the other day, we do it like building blocks. You put your building blocks in place and everything goes through lovely. This dog was rock steady on the shoots, didn't need a lead on the dog, didn't need to fight the dog on the shoot because he wasn't listening to me. The dog was such a sweetie. If anything, he was a little bit too laid back for what I really want. That's why I let him go. Plus the fact I wasn't getting out with him and giving him the experience in the field that he deserved, because he trained up beautiful. I'd taken him on shoots. He'd worked with me on shoots. He was absolutely a little star, and that's why I sold him. You know, people tell you that trainers don't sell good dogs, they only sell their rubbish. Absolute load of rubbish. This dog was a little sweetie, but if you said to me, is he competition winning material? No way, he's not. And it doesn't matter how good I am as a dog trainer, I'm not going to get this dog to win competition the way he is. He's just a little bit too laid back. And he get bolder and bolder as he got older, but he was still more honest, too honest if anything. And you could say, well, how can you have such a thing as a too honest dog, a dog that's too honest? I want that little bit of naughtiness. I want that little bit of extra drive and desire if I'm going to enter competition or spend my money. And that's the difference. Anybody can enter a competition, but if you want to win it, you've got to have the right material as well. And at the end of the day, I didn't breed him. He was a total outcross that I wanted to bring him in for one of my bitches for breeding at later stage. If he made the grade, he did make the grade. We did have pups off him, and they turned out to be great pups. But my bitches were harder, and by putting a softer dog on harder bitches, it didn't affect the breeding. But I wouldn't have never put him, a soft dog, on a soft bitch, because it could have been too soft, looking at the dog and remembering the dog. This point here, look, I'm teaching lead work. I'm teaching lead work for the first time in his life. Now, I was fortunate enough to have the field out the back, wasn't I? So I didn't put the lead on the dogs very often, but what I'm doing is I'm teaching the dog, you can still run in on the lead when I tell you, but you've got to stay with me. I'm beginning to put the lead work into the dog, even at this age, a young dog, because a Labrador, you want at your side far more than you would with a Spaniel. You want that heel work to be a lot better than you would with your Spaniel. I still put heel work into a Spaniel, but I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not regimental with it. With a Labrador, a lot of shooting people want that dog glued to their boot, and it's a way of showing that dog that from the lead, there's fun element, because you're going to get a retrieve. So I'm using the lead, I'm leaving the lead dangling over him, look, and he's getting used to having it there, look. See how he comes in, he's so biddable and loving, and that's the whole point about these videos. These videos show you that, but if someone doesn't explain to you what they're doing in the videos, you don't see the bigger picture. At no point did I train this dog with food bowls all around the kennels to get the encouragement and the fun element out the dog. I took the dog in the field and I've played games with a dog, and gameplay is the most important part of your early learning for your dog. If your dog enjoys being with you, you're going to get a better dog for it. It's as simple as that. If you are doing nothing but chastising, when I say chastising, making the dog sit, making the dog wait, throwing its food bowl across the kennel, not sending it until you're ready to send it, you're drying the dog up. If you want one of these, what they call Arga dogs, to fall to sleep on the peg next to you, then perhaps that's the way you want to go. But I want a dog that can work the field, know what it's doing, watch the birds down, don't go till told, and be an asset on the shoot, not a couch potato pudding that falls to sleep because it never gets a retrieve. Any trainer that tells you if you send your dog during the drive for a retrieve, you're going to make your dog unsteady, doesn't know how to train dogs. It's as simple as that. Your dog should be able to be sent during the drive, after the drive, and sit steady until told. But you have to build the training up, and you have to build it up with temptation. If you build the drive and desire up with the ball and the dummy and get the dog so madly keen on racing out and picking that, when you put the stop on the dog, you're going to have to be a little bit firmer with your training to get the dog to stop. But then when you go on the game, the dog is going to stop automatically because you've already come down reasonably firm on the dog, because you've created drive and desire in the first place. This is the most important thing when training dogs. I come from the competition world, right? And I had to have a dog better than everybody else. If I'd just come from the shooting world, I might go down the shooting world way of training dogs on the grounds that that's all I knew. But luckily, I went down the competition route, was successful, and then was able to pass that on in my training for people in the shooting field. Don't destroy drive. Don't be afraid of drive. Build drive, build desire. Then put the control in. You do it that way, you'll have a far better dog. You listen to these muppets out on the internet telling you that you've got to get your 8-week-old dog to sit and wait for its food, sit and wait while other dogs are sent for the food. Yes, you're putting obedience in, and it's great for pet dogs if that's what you want to do, party tricks. But guess what? It's not for working dogs in the field. It's as simple as that. I say it the way it is. What you get is what you see with me. That dog wants to be with me, but look where the retrieve is coming from every time I throw it out. I'm conditioning the dog that if you stay at my side there, everything is a fun element from that position. I'm actually conditioning the dog without the dog even knowing. And that's the difference. And if you watch the videos and you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know why I'm sending it from there, you don't know why I'm handling the dog the way I am. I hope this video helps. If you want to see these videos and Scotty trained from start to finish, come over to Patreon and you'll see how to train a dog to a good standard that is a pleasure to work in the field.